Alright everyone, so right now, I'm getting really fucking annoyed at shit like this. Infiltration will not end. We will break down, right? I will have my sister look at this at the end of the day and why this is complete BS. Let's start with the first, what we like to call, I think it's called the emotional fallacy. Correct me if I'm wrong. But, this entire first start is extremely biased. It starts painting a picture of his wife. You cannot do that. The problem is the one first thing wrong with this article is that it is already establishing the biases of the people who are against him. So you cannot take this as an unbiased thing, and this entire first part literally amplifies that, right? And of course I have someone in chat, big shout out to Lightpeg, on what he heard from his first account and why it's alright. Infiltration was found innocent. First of all, there are two definitions to that. There are people like, no, he was not. He was found guilty. And anyone who actually looked into it, yeah, he was technically found guilty, but we talk about that. And people say he's innocent. It's like, oh, he didn't actually do, you know, it wasn't as bad as, he's innocent in the sense that he wasn't like a true, like, wife beater or criminal. But this, right, okay, so let's look at see. Global Panda, here's how exactly it went. Global Panda looked into it, and they, as soon as they found that, oh, he was found guilty, that's it. It didn't matter. That's it. You know, he was fucked. But let's go into what I was making the point earlier. I like this. It separates it from allegation to facts. This person will actually prove themselves wrong within their own point. And you can go ahead and read this, right? Basically, to sum it up, it just shows up that when this is how it happened, right? The police show up. This is the official report. They showed up. And you can see that, like, infiltration, basically, like, oh, his wife is saying something, yelling, whatever. And, you know, infiltration's only back, and then it lets go. And then the police, he basically goes, oh, here, take me, whatever, do what you need to do, right? And there was no problem or anything, and that's it. He was just arrested on the spot and was taken to the police report thingy. Now let's do the allegation versus truth. They want to say how did this leak. First of all, it wasn't leaked. It was given out for free. You can literally, I shit you not, I'll post a link to the actual report. Now, there's another thing I want to point out. There will be three things to follow here: the testimony of infiltration, the testimony of his ex-wife, and the actual record. And I want you guys to notice the correlation between infiltration's testimony and his wife compared to what's actually being said. Now, this is a whole ass thing, right? And one thing that you gotta realize, I want to establish right away: infiltration is the one on the defensive side. He is the one being defended. So we will take that position. I will be his defendant, right? Here's what you need to know in context. Korea's law system is different because he is Korean and this is in Korea. So there are two laws that influence the way it is. It is democratic, right? Because he's in South Korea, not in North Korea. So there are similarities to US law, so it's not too far off. But it has a lot of similarities also with Japanese law. And what does that mean? In Japan, you know how the saying in US is innocent till proven guilty? Well, guess what? Asian culture, and particularly Japan, it's guilty until proven innocent. So automatically, infiltration's already fucked. He has to watch his ass. He's fucked from the start. And more importantly, as we've seen in Western culture, men are extremely biased against him. Granted, in this situation, if it's domestic abuse, automatically, I don't blame people for going, oh shit, he's a fucking douche, right? Because let's be honest, in most cases, the domestic abuse charge is right. But I do want to point out, when it's usually the case, you can't even hide it, bro. Like, dude is just a douche. There's a reason we have the term wife beater, right? But that's not the point. So I want you to keep that in mind. And here's how his summing up everything he said. A lot of the things he says when they came up to him. Like, here, let's start from the beginning, right? So infiltration basically goes out and says that they were talking about, he was basically getting, there's another altercation, right? He talks to his wife after she had purchased a dishwasher. And this is what I also want to point out. His testimony stands up and it all makes sense. So I want to point this out. He even states the cause of how this happened in the first place. His wife deadass went and bought a dishwasher when they just had a discussion that, I don't want to be with you. Like, I just, you know what you want? I want us to break up or whatever. I don't know if they was ex, whatever. But again, he's like, dude, I just want my money back invested on my house. And when we're done, you know, and he wanted an altercation. But his wife went and did a purchase. He confronted her. Then out of nowhere, she whips out her phone and apparently threatens to call the police and goes basically mental, you know, like. And then infiltration then grabs her phone, right? He snatches from her, and then his wife starts attacking him. And he starts like holding her back. And then he runs away into like a room or something, right? And he's basically telling her, like, dude, what are you trying to do? And he's even trying to unlock her phone. So like, whoa, what are you doing, right? Which is kind of, I guess, would say sus. And at the same time, from his perspective, I'd be like, bro, you should be careful when you take a girl's phone. bitches are crazy with payphones, right? So I'm not saying that his wife is right, because she then started assaulting him, right? And this is where that whole abuse thing is. He held her back, and even he consciously even says that, right, I was suspecting I was recording from even the point the police were called, or even before. And this isn't the full version, right? But he basically, like, he had to hold her back. My thing is, okay, cool. Now we know this, the start of this injury. It's her wrist. And that's how he ended up. And he said right as he was leaving, right, because he just pushed her off. And he said, and he even admitted that, like, because I know guys are stronger than girls, I'm not going to do anything. Because guess what? Now, think about it from now. All his decision, he's thinking as a guy, I'm fucked. He knows this from the Asian perspective of guilty until proven innocent. And as a man, he's in a bad situation. He already knows from the start he's on the defensive. That's the only reason he has to literally lock her phone. And he's right later on. So when he opens the door, he sees the police is already there, and then all of a sudden his wife starts yelling all this crap that, oh, he beat me, this and that, and he just goes like, whatever, I give up. And then the police, and he has an altercation, like, not an altercation, the police, he basically goes back and forth with the police. It's like, all right, what's an easy way to go about this? And they're just like, just basically come with us, right? And I'm like, all right, cool. And while he's there, the police straight up basically told him, like, if you just admit to being guilty, we can just give you a fine, no big deal, right? And going back to this part, and here's another important thing to talk about. People want to say this is BS because apparently it said, oh, nowhere in the report. Dude, that stuff is never reported at all. When you have a private one-on-one, like, damn, should I be guilty? Let's fuck it, you could get a fine. This is extremely common. Extremely. It's never in a court case, but it is brought up when the person wants to refute a case. It is extremely common, especially as he even mentions. He states in his interview with IGN Korea that when he was doing this, he would see the police, the first thing on his thought was, fuck, I am broke right now. I am tight on money. I haven't had money since the last Capcom tour and Evo tournament. I can't afford a lawyer. I'm gonna just have to go with what the police says. And that is what made his decision from there on. And this is extremely common for many people that are in this situation, even in the US especially. And this is extremely common too. When there are far more serious crimes, like murder, people will actually go out and get false confessions purely because of the pressure from the police, or because they'll be like, fuck it, it's easier. And that is what happened. So the statement that Infiltration is saying is not uncommon, and it's not BS. If they want to talk about how that's, oh, not in the court case, it won't be. The private conversation a police officer has with the defendant is never released as an official statement until the person brings up their testimony when they want to repeal a case, or they're in the middle of it, like they're actually still going. And they even state, oh, how the police officer doesn't know. Like, of course he doesn't. But even as a regular person, you can be like, oh, you know, all right, cool. If you do this, more than likely you only have to pay this. That's how they state it. Never, I'm pretty sure the police officer, oh, you will only pay 600. And from what he said, the police officer said, I think like 700 yang or whatever they use, right? And apparently he was pretty on point. That's exactly what Infiltration paid. So you guys want to call out Infiltration from saying something that was never in the court case in the police, then why? Let's get into the part. Let's get into his wife's part. His wife went with that part, that she literally was getting beat. Like, fucking, yeah, fucking, we're Street Fighter in this bitch. Like, yeah, your neck is mine. And even says that the audio recording, that he said all of this. You know, that he literally, and he wanted, apparently she never gave, see, Infiltration didn't beat his wife. She was actually hurt bad. A wrist injury, man. I'm just gonna say that. And see, apparently this was all audio, but the problem is notice how they see this, but nowhere in the documentation is it pointed that she said that it said anything at all. But here's an exact line. I suspected a recording was either from the point she called the police or even before. It isn't the full version. They put not the full version, but only the parts advantageous to her. This version was also put on the internet to include if it included the dishwasher and everything, the transcript had occurred, the situation would be different. And this is true, because remember, after his story stands up, after he confronts her about the dishwasher, she pulls out the phone and he's like, he knew he was gonna look disadvantaged. And they even said, it's not the full version. So it's not the full version. But at the same time, this person right here wants to say that all of this was said, never in the courts. If this was true, this is domestic abuse. The official charge, was of a domestic dispute. The audio transcript and the medical, yes, and both of them were given. And the conclusion was domestic abuse. Not domestic, the audio was known as domestic, I said it right, you get my point. It was just domestic dispute. The audio, okay, cool, there was a domestic dispute, done. The domestic abuse charge, her wrist is injured, that's domestic abuse. Battery charge. But at the same, so you guys want to know the sentence? Okay, cool, he's found guilty. But battery in the eyes of Korea is, how dare you harm a woman? And you know what? Again, Infiltration could have handled it better. Like, honestly, but, like, it's a tough situation. I even heard another accusation that apparently she had a knife. The thing is, never in the interview did Infiltration himself say any of that. He never once said that she had a knife. He was just defending himself from scratching. And if we further go to the beginning, right? You can all look at this, right? The police even said, oh, when we were there, his wife did in fact have a wrist injury. And they're like, okay, cool, go report to a doctor to see what their standing on it is. And they even Infiltration stated that, oh, when they were there, oh, there were visible scars on Infiltration. But they weren't nowhere near as bad as to what you can see on his wife. So let's get part one, right? That's part one. Here's what I want to really get into. His wife's part, she said, when the police left, let's get into her side. When the police left, he swung and took her phone. He started beating her, choking her by the neck, and threatened to kill and torture me. Okay, so first of all, threatened to kill and torture me. Granted, I think he had the phone by this time, right? So the problem with that first part that she's stating, where's all this? Why the fuck should I calm down? You fucking, like, that's a suggestion. It's a command. Stop choking me. Okay, here's a contradiction in her statement. She said, she claims when she's doing the article with the newspaper for Korean, that this happened after the phone. By this indication of the audio, apparently the choking started before he took the phone, and that apparently it is audio recorded. That's a contradiction.
Do you know how much women falsely accuse men of domestic abuse in Korea?
Thank you. By the way, everyone who could see this, there are other people here, their perspective. Here's the thing I want to point out again. I want to be this as unbiased as possible, right? I am even looking... I will point out some things on Infiltration side that make him look sus, just to be fair. But here's the thing that I really have a problem. You cannot take her statement, like I was saying earlier, you cannot take her statement from a renowned South Korean newspaper. First of all, let's think that you cannot take their words verbatim. That's why as you notice, every time I'm looking at Infiltrations, I'm like, okay, does it match up with the testimony? Nothing about Infiltration directly states the facts that have been stated or go against it. Every time his wife says anything, it's always leaning towards the allegation end. It's never towards them. It always contradicts. Like, again, remember how she was beaten and everything? Another part that says...
Clockwork 5013 said...
Right.
Same amount everywhere else.
When the police left, he wung at his wife. And the police apparently, like, see, like this. The way this is stated to when the police left. Wung does this, like, assaulting her, took... Because it is true, he did, apparently that they did leave and then come back again. So that's another thing I want to notice, that they left and then came back. Which, that already sounds weird, because the way it is stated is that, oh, they came and then they took him. So there's already a problem with the actual way it's transcripted. But we can take either or, because here's the main thing, whether they did return or not. I'm thinking they did, because at some point in the document it does state that they did return. And mainly he was just trying to be like, all right, let me get my stuff to whatever. And then that's when his wife was the one who actually started attacking him again, not him. And when when the police left and they came back, nowhere in the police report does the neighbors called the police. An argument. Well, no. First of all, this is another problem. I don't think in any part of the document did it ever say the neighbors. Infiltration himself said that when the police came, he's like, oh, did the neighbors call? Was it because she called? He didn't know. He even was thinking, oh, I don't know. The neighbors, I don't think at any point ever called the police. The police were already gonna come back. And here's another. The police called the police. The neighbors called the police, and the police and paramedics arrived. I don't recall any point hold up. Let's look back. I don't think I, do you guys, you tell me, is there any part of this transcript that, police upon arrival at the scene, player was arrested. He did not contest, claim, which was he was arrested on police recommendation to avoid lengthy legal battle. Player did not have a legal consultation at this time. Official thing, and when I was saying it, it's from his perspective. Now there's an official. Do you guys see anywhere in this report that the ambulance was called? That's 3 strikes right there. 1, the police never stated that he was beating your ass like this was fucking G. 2, the neighbors were never called, as far as I know. I could be wrong. Feel free to prove me wrong. I welcome people in the comments point me that I'm wrong. The whole point of this is to get to the bottom. 3rd, like I said, and she even says, "Oh, I was stripped of my clothes after being dragged out." Nowhere in the medical report was there an indication of choking or ripped clothing. Plus, so there is no the police when they came. There was no sign of you getting your ass beat. There were no paramedics, and the neighbors will never call the police. I could be wrong. Again, maybe they did when they came back. So, right away, Miss A, all of her testimonies are bullshit. You can't take it. And this whole renowned newspaper, first of all, I ain't never heard of US. You ain't renowned. And we live in a time where fake news is prevalent as fuck. You cannot take what a person says who's attacking in a newspaper. You cannot take it verbatim. They are not facts. This is a one-sided case. And what's even worse is, not only is this, first, it's a newspaper. This isn't a courtroom. 2, an unbiased perspective from a person. 3, she went and straight up made claims on behalf of the police. This stands in contrast to Lee Swoon's claims. Let's go back. When the police left, were there any police that were there? That were on your thing? No. She said it. And she said it for a South Korean newspaper. This was not in a court. This is not official. There are no papers. Everything that Infiltration says, none of it contradicts what is in the court cases. The only thing it stands in contrast to the interview when he claimed. See, this, no shit. They're trying, you see how they're pinpointing this? They're trying to point that, oh, it contradicts the claim that he's contradicting his wife. He's not contradicting the facts. His wife is contradicting the facts. Get that straight. And of course, so, sum it up. He, as the person, had to go. And he didn't have a lawyer. He basically pleaded guilty himself because, like, fuck, I am broke. I'm screwed. I am a man in a domestic abuse charge with my wife. I have no lawyer. I have to take the L. And he tried to refight this, right? But by that point, it was already basically too late. And his wife, what's even crazier, this is true. After this, let's go into the end part. Again, 6 minutes on location security. Who speaks? Both players. Right. Oh, right. So apparently it was a security guard. So it wasn't even the fucking right. But anyways, he goes back and he had his mom. He had with his mom, right? They said, "Oh, let me go get my stuff," right? And his wife, apparently, this was never put in the case, but we even said, let's be real. So think about it from the position. So let's say from situation, he's trying to be normal. His wife's being batshit crazy, right? And let's be real, when women are generally batshit crazy, they do say, like, things. This isn't out of character. Oh, if you leave me, I'll fucking try to kill you or some shit like that. That sounds like what chicks generally say when they're off the deep end. And this is something I do want to mention at the end. Is Infiltration used trophies destroyed. So I just want to point that out. Maybe, okay, let's be real. What if she genuinely had a reason? Like, what if, like, he really did get beat? You're mad, everything, right? But the more natural reaction is to curl up in a ball and just be crying and everything. Rage as a response to something, it's because you're mad of something. Not because you're, like, following most domestic abuse cases, this is how it goes. If the woman's the abuser, she's the one destroying stuff. If the woman's being abused, she's the one curling up in a ball. The guy's curling up in a ball is him being a bitch taking the L. So Just saying that. And again, I hope this doesn't come off as really... I feel like it will come off as very biased towards her. But the only thing is because I just don't like things that contradict facts. And I'm even saying, okay, cool, she could be right. She could be right. But my thing is, even that doesn't stand up. And I am looking at her, Toastin. We're looking at this from a person who has a fucking brain and it works. And again, 6 minutes of observation. See, on October, the medical note from the hospital which states she was diagnosed with bruising and an injury to the wrist with no hospitalization necessary. This medical note is short with limited information and descriptions. No photographic injuries. Bro, it's a fucking wrist injury. And you know what? I hate this person. I hate this person because they do this. He basically goes and say, actually, it was this kind of injury, like one that's a more severe one. I'm like, it's a hand. There should be more. Because I honestly, real talk, I went against Infiltration on this because I'm like, how do you have a giant one ring mark on a wrist when you're holding them back to fight? That seems sus. But they're like, oh, no, it's multiple. Like, oh, then that makes sense. Because you have multiple fucking fingers. So if anything, you basically just proved him right. Because I already was thinking that's kind of sus. I'm thinking like a whole ring around. I'm like, all right, bro, you have to like handcuff her for that shit, bro. But no, he actually used his hand. So good job, guy. You completely made him. See, I grabbed the wrist. I was getting nothing like that, right? And I already explained this. Oh, here's what I like to say. They like to say, oh, daily in an article. I see they're already putting this up. Article. This is an official translation, but this is now the words. Miss X had injuries consistent with domestic assault. Here's another problem. You guys automatically use this as, oh, he beat the fuck out of her. Domestic assault in the definition of Asian culture is, how dare you mark this beautiful woman. But when the guy had scratches over his face, oh, fuck him, eat a dick. This daily, again. See, again, look at that. They're already outing themselves. Korean Economic Daily, again, still a rough translation. You cannot take what they say verbatim. You cannot. And these actually contradict what the actual thing is stated in the fact. You have these up. You're directly contradicting yourself, and this is why it's so bad. It's extremely biased. You are not addressing. You're addressing all these other things, right? And every time you address Infiltration, it's in direct contrast to his wife's. You cannot do that. You can only do it when it contradicts what is given to you as the facts, bro. The allegation, assaulted his wife. No. And it's funny is Infiltration was the one who wanted to bring up initially the restraining order. But apparently I think his wife is the one that got it first. The police reported censored and could not be accused. Right. Yep. See, look, I arrested. I mean, we're just going over the same things at this point, right? I don't want to... I could make a better one after this one, right? After this occasion. See, again, all of this, I'm sorry. You can just not take it, bro. You cannot. And this is just a Reddit post. Really, bro? Really? A Reddit post? It could sum it up, but it's like... And of course, this is a statement. And Panda Global did drop them, and that's fine. If they want to be like, okay, cool, they looked at, oh, guilty, that's it, done. That's why some people took that as, oh, it's if he found guilty, and then when they see the accusations, they said, they took, oh, guilty? Took the accusations, not the facts, and went, oh, so he did do all that.
Like that.
That's not how you do it. That is not how you do it at all.
Do we have video of her talking about this?
Probably. Also, this video is mega long. Hopefully I can do this short, and I will give my initial thing as to what this is really long. This went on longer than I thought it would. The day before play, see, the restraining was lifted, and that's when he went to inform her that he wanted to get his shit. And what's even crazier, he still had to pay. He had to pay property damage for apparently breaking in his own place. And apparently, I heard the neighbors stated that he was the one that destroyed the lock. So this is all I'm gonna say. I want to make this too long. See, and player did not do his communication. This is just talking about like, okay, why? And see, again, more just, I'm sorry, we basically destroyed her testimony. You know, Phoenix Wright, objection. You know, get that ass banned, bro. I'm over here fucking popping my goddamn, you know, take this, you know, fucking, that's all I need. Boy, coming at you with that shit. Play me with that shit. Think I don't play NBC. Try to contact me. This is apparently a tweet from his wife. That's an official statement. Again, contradicting. You were saying you tried to contact me. The official statement says that he did. His mom. Are you gonna say his poor little Korean mom is lying too? Alright, power to you. See, and then they state, oh, infiltration's a person. Like, that's a whole nother discussion. We're not getting into it's okay, say he is guilty. Say he's a fucking, hey, yeah, your neck is mine abuser. that's a whole nother discussion entirely. Me personally, I would say if you are, like example smashers, no, ban them from events. Get those pedos out of here. And again, he sold through the print. Oh, another thing I want to point out. But I did point it out, right? That they said that the fact that his criminal record would be erased, they want to say, oh, your criminal record never disappears. This is true. But the way that the police stated it when they told him is that employers look up to around 2 years into your criminal, if you have a criminal record, because he was concerned it would affect his career. And also, he was never banned from Capcom tournaments. He officially stated, I'm going to take a break, and so Street Fighter doesn't look bad. That's it. That is the actual thing. So, one, let's get this out of the way. Yes, he is found guilty. He was found guilty of domestic dispute and a battery assault on his wife. Battery assault being an injury to the wrist, not a full-on domestic abuse. So those are two things we gotta get. He was never banned. He left the scene on his own accord. Oh, and I say, oh god. So okay, see, yeah, see. Apparently the comments agrees with me. So there is one good here. One, understand you might have a bias due to your past, but I refute some of your claims were clear in mind. If she was clearly checked with multiple bodies and bruises, there should be a doctor's note, a medical record. We just disputed that, right? Transcript, crawl, etc. are really just pictures show. It says he and she say scenario, and I will break this down. A lot of this, like before how this all led up, it's a lot of he said, she said shit. Infiltration definitely could have handled this better. For sure. I mean, even to the point where he did injure her wrist, maybe he was going too rough. But at the same time, you have a crazy chick lunge at you. Instinctively, you kind of want to defend. If anything, I'm impressed he didn't just knock her out. I'm genuinely impressed. Me personally, I wouldn't, because I know my own strengths and everything. I did wrestling. I actually, have physical experience. I've done this before. It's nothing new. But gamers aren't like that. They'll throw hands in a fighting game. They can't throw hands in real life, bro. Okay? So he basically echoes what I already said. It does not translate well to text, also as well. The translation about her multiple bruises in the sense, he's just reiterating what the first one was about. Oh, when he broke into his home, he paid for, by the way. The first message shows him saying he's using his home as a storage for now and telling him if he's just going, ask for a divorce, don't come. Permission from the cops to call a locksmith. You notice that the person, you can read it. I don't think they ever mentioned this. That's the problem. They will not mention anything from his side. They only mention from his wife. That's completely biased. See, I also want to comment on the interaction with him lying to police. That I already mentioned too, that's extremely common. The police even tell you, like, here's the fucked up thing. When you are a person, this is the fucked up thing about the justice system, especially in Western society. You are better off lying or not saying anything to make you look good. During his own interview, Infiltration made himself look bad because he was being honest. Like the way he was speaking truly from his mind and freely. Like the fact he did admit, oh, I took her phone. Oh, yes, I held her back. He could have reworded it different. But the reality is it honest? No, it's not honest. But does it make him look better? Yes. And that's the honest reality of how the court system works. And me personally, that's fucking stupid. You're telling me I cannot speak truth and be consistent.
Like that.
Fuck you. You have to be a lying bitch.
Did a neighbor see the choking?
No, they did not either. So let's point that out as well. And he said, the police with their action. He took the minimum fine that was possible domestic violence. He had no lawyer. Again, we already mentioned this, right? Or was it just some 200 IQ play where he didn't consult his lawyer and rest? He got a lawyer later on, but apparently by that point it was too late and he couldn't really. It was like, fuck it, I'll take the air. There's tons of proof out there that she can present, such as medical records. He never does any of this. She just goes out. Oh, you guys, I'm a victim. It's like, dude, but where are our papers? Go tell him he will sue us. And again, when he goes to try to be reasonable, she threatens to kill this dude if they break up. That's what happened initially. And that's a he said, she said thing. So we can't even, there's no paper of this, so we can throw that out the window. And this is defending Infiltration. But guess what? Due to the fact that it's a he said, she said thing, I have to throw it out the window. Unless his mom can be a testimony, right? Right, exactly. And the problem is this person wants to pass on judgment, whereas I am telling you what do you guys think? I want you to sit here and tell me, what are more proof? Proof. Bring it to the court. We're playing Phoenix Wright in this bitch. You are Edgeworth. Bring me some bullshit I don't know, motherfucker. Right, a story just exactly. I don't know, man. This Reddit, right? I agree. There is work put into this. I will give them credit where credit is due. but your shit is way too biased. You have already your standpoint. Infiltration will compete again. He shouldn't. Here's why. I'm more unbiased. Infiltration compete in 2020.
Said.
Should he?
A lot of these articles are biased.
Exactly. So, chat, please tell me, what are your thoughts on this subject? I apologize. This is 30 fucking minutes long. I hope I can edit all of it. But this is not a really small point. Might I point out that the person who originally started this, their video is no longer up. I think it's the Magic Bullet Show. UK Black FGC content creator, good guy. And he even did one for Kuroda. So literally 90% of this information is false. OP established. I highly recommend look at all these just read the comments. Like they straight up, when I looked at it, I'm like, dude, they thought the same thing I did. And again, they also did the strawman fallacy at one point. They're picking at other points. Like I would say, look at fallacies, right? Like I said, for me, if you're already fucking up on title, biased. This, biased. Like we can count the number of points. Someone in the comments, count how many times you could be like, oh, 1, 2, 3. We already said 3 strikes on his wife. For her directly. Not even contradicting what is on the statement. 3 strikes on the legitimacy of her statement. First of all, it's from her. It's on a stupid newspaper. Eat my dick. And you went in and said in a statement on behalf of the police. You're not the police. We can't take your word for it. You said in a newspaper. Again, and okay, it was like, oh, but you're taking infiltrations. I looked at infiltration and said, does it directly dispute with what? Like I said, I'm just re-editing it. She does. She's going against, and I kept, okay, cool. And I looked. No, if you guys looked at, I went, okay, cool. I will go with what you said. Now let me look to see where it can be wrong. That police? Nope, the police never. I'm sorry. This is on behalf of a newspaper. It's already credibility. But okay, cool. Let's take your statement, right? Nowhere in the police report does it say that what you said is true. If this is true, the police would have been, oh, we came here. This man fucking, yo, you should have seen this man. He fucking popped V-trigger, bro. But that's it. That's the end of it. Please look this up. I will link this article and the actual case files. I believe they're the actual case files. And you tell me. You tell me what are your thoughts. And if so, I would love for you to point where I am wrong. Point the actual contradiction. Use your brain, people. Because here's the end of the day. We're on the same side. None of us like abusive people. We want women to feel comfortable in the FGC. But by that same point, we do not people want being falsely accused. Stop that shit. Please read. Please read. Like when I looked at the accusation, I was like, oh, he's guilty. I was like, but how guilty? I didn't just take yes as an answer. I'm like, oh, Panda exclude him. He's guilty. Oh, the domestic charge of wrist injury. I already went, that's stupid. That's actually stupid. So, again, looking at our history from Western and Asian culture, he's already at a disadvantage. No lawyer. Broke. His trophies are gone. Not only that, a lot of what his wife does, actually, being crazy, coincides with the stuff that went against infiltration. Lock being broken. Neighbors even saying they witnessed it, and that can't be taken account because it's something they said.
We want everyone to be comfortable.
So again, apologies for it being so long. I might just straight fresh upload this and then edit later.
_swoop_loop. Said.